Do you think you can make comparisons between criminalization of piracy, because really right now it's an uncriminalized area, it's a civil suit kind of deal, and criminalization of like drug use, where that's putting people into prisons and causing all sorts of overflow problems, where it would be better maybe just to treat it, I don't know, I guess we can't say public health in this case, but some sort of other public concern that's not a criminal concern.
Sure. Well, so yeah, what's the parallel between the drug war and the copyright war? Well, so the copyright war is dangerous in some ways like the drug war, because there's so many people who are otherwise blameless who are nevertheless on the wrong side of the law. And what happens, even if it's just a civil law, if it's punitive enough, being on the wrong side of it makes you vulnerable to blackmail. So the best example of this is there's a kid at Swarthmore College in their computer science program a few years ago. It's a well-regarded comp sci program, who maintained a search engine called Flatland, which searches the local area network. And it's legal to write search engines. If it wasn't, Google would be in a lot of trouble. And this is run on campuses all around the world, and it's great for finding things like profs' lecture notes and additional reading material and student work that's being shared. But because it's on campus networks, it's also a great way to find music and movies and games, right? So the record industry didn't like this, and they couldn't go after this kid for being a software author, because the software he wrote was legal. So they went after him for being what? Pirate. How did they know he was a pirate?
College student.
He was a college student, exactly. He was a kid, right? And so what they said was, like the other 30,000 Americans we've sued for file sharing, we want your life savings, but we want something different out of you. We want you to change majors, because we want to send a message that people who write software like this don't end up getting computer science degrees. We want to send a message that writing the software is legal, but it's bad for your health, right? So that's the danger. And we made fun of them, for doing this at Electronic Frontier Foundation, made a big stink, and they had to pull back from that demand. But it exemplifies the risk that we're all under when we're all presumptively guilty of something. It's not that we'll all be fined or sent to jail or whatever. It's that any one of us is vulnerable to extortion or to pressure for violating the law that we're all guilty of breaking. So how do we solve this? Well, historically we've solved copyright fights, because these fights aren't all that new, right? Copyright's a technological regulation. It regulates copying. You don't copy without technology. So every time a new generation of technology came along, we did something about it. So when records and radio came along, and the people who made music said, first, you shouldn't be allowed to record sheet music and put it on a record, and then you shouldn't be able to take a record and put it on a radio, the way that we solved that problem was by creating blanket licenses, where if you paid a set fee that was either set by the government or set through collective negotiation, you could just do anything within a set of uses with the music. So every time the DJ at your radio station drops the needle on a record, he doesn't have his lawyer call like Warner Music's lawyer and say, we're about to play some Jimmy Buffett, is that 10 cents or 15 cents? They just pay a fee and they get to play it. This place probably pays a fee too, right? And if you want to play music over the speakers, you don't have to call up and find out which music you're allowed to play. So it's one thing that we've done. And so you can think of that as taking what used to be like a moral right and turning it into an economic right. It goes from being the right to decide who gets to use your work to the right to being compensated for the use of your work. But there's two other solutions that we've had for it. One is to create a one is to say that the use is just legal. It should just be legal. So the VCR being a good example of this, where they said from now on, although it didn't used to be copyright law that you could record a show with a VCR, the Supreme Court in 1984 ruled that you could, even though most people's reading of copyright law said that they couldn't. So that's kind of saying you have no right. And then I'm trying to remember what the third one is. I'm just blanking on it. So there's making an economic right. I'm sorry. I conflated the two ways of making an economic right. One is a compulsory right, and one is a voluntary right. So the compulsory right was for the record. They said you have to license your music to be played on a record. So when Sid Vicious wanted to record My Way, he didn't have to get Paul Anka's permission. He just had to pay a fee. The voluntary license was they got together and they set a price on their own. So those are kind of the three ways we deal with this. But like prohibition has never been the way that we solve copyright deadlocks. There's no reason to believe it would work. It's unprecedented in history to say, here's a new technology that makes something that used to be hard easy. How are we going to solve this copyright problem? Well, we'll solve it by prohibiting that use of the technology. That's never worked historically. I mean, maybe it's yet to come, that the time when that solution works is yet to come, but it's utterly without precedent.